All right, Bears fans, if you want Matt Nagy fired right now, today, this second, 10 seconds from now, like the video because that was an absolute bloodbath on Sunday afternoon in Cleveland. I'm expecting 1,500 plus likes on today's show because inexcusable offensive game plan and effort from Nagy and this Bears offense. We're going to break down the latest hot seat rumors around the Bears head coach right now, so stay tuned. It's me, your boy, Harrison Graham. As always, let's talk about the latest hot seat rumors around the Chicago Bears head coach. And my God, I have never witnessed anything like I did yesterday. Let's break it all down, and I'll give my thoughts on whether or not the Bears should just flat out fire this guy. Here's what Nagy had to say after the game, and then he did have another press conference this morning, which honestly, he looked depressed, if I'm being honest with you. Quote, "You almost can't make it up. It was that bad." Later in the quote, he said, "We have to find out the whys." I'll tell you the whys, Matt, because your game plan was dog shit. That is why you got your ass kicked and you got your rookie quarterback killed for 4 quarters yesterday. I can no longer defend Matt Nagy. I can't do it. I've done it for a year and a half. The guy's won more games than he's lost, but you've had 4 or 5 months to prepare for when Justin Fields would go into the game for the first time as the full-time starting quarterback, which was yesterday, and that's what you get? 47 yards on 42 plays? You get him sacked 9 times? That's indefensible. That's a fireable offense, if you ask me. You'll lose this quarterback if that happens again. I can promise you that. Here's what Dan Orlovsky said on Get Up this morning, and we're going to share a lot of quotes from a lot of people around the NFL and some players as well. Quote, "The Chicago Bears should fire Matt Nagy today. Yesterday's game plan, which was the worst one I've ever seen in my life, was either negligence or intentional. It's been 149 days since the Bears drafted Justin Fields. You had 149 days to start to build a game plan around his skill set of this young man, and it was an embarrassment." More on how embarrassing it was. Paul Hembekaitis, they call him Henbo at ESPN, one of their producers, had this stat, 30 dropbacks for Justin Fields. Only 4 of them had pre-snap motion. Only 2 of them did the Bears use max protection, even though he got his brains beat in for 4 quarters. Only 2 designed rollouts and only 2 designed quarterback runs. Yesterday was criminal by Matt Nagy and this offensive staff. How in the world is that your game plan? I don't know what was worse, the game plan or realizing that the plan didn't work and the inability to adjust. That was a joke. For all of the hype and excitement that Bears fans have been waiting for, yes, we traded up. We got this quarterback. He's talented. He's dynamic. He runs a 4.45. He can throw on the run. And you try to make him a drop-back passer in empty sets quite a lot and let your offensive tackles who got destroyed just get your quarterback killed. That was criminal by Matt Nagy yesterday. Indefensible, if you ask me. Let it out, Bears fans. Describe Matt Nagy in one word, especially after what we saw yesterday. Just do it. Let me know. One word, how do you feel about Matt Nagy at this very point in time? Let us know down in the comments. This is a hard thing for me to admit, but I'm pretty sure I was wrong. I was wrong about Matt Nagy. I've said he just needs his guy. He needs the right quarterback. And I know some of you will probably say, don't jump off the ship. It's one start. It was that bad that I think I have to jump off after just one start. I think I was wrong. Now, that doesn't mean that Mitchell Trubisky could have been a top 10 franchise NFL quarterback. He's got major issues, but I think I was wrong about this head coach, at least as a play caller. The lack of creativity and adjustments yesterday is one. I'll put it this way. I have never seen a quarterback in the NFL have less of a chance to succeed than I saw with Justin Fields yesterday. I've never seen it in my entire life. And I've seen bad quarterback play for a long time. That is just unbelievable what the Bears did to put him in that situation. I was wrong about Matt Nagy. He cannot call another play for this team. Dan Orlovsky, again, 13 times they went with 5-man protection with no help for their offensive line. 13 out of 20. You did the bare minimum with 5-man protection with no help against a guy like Jadeveon Clowney or Myles Garrett. 3 times you went to a 6-man protection with Chip. 3 times you moved the pocket. Not until the middle of the second quarter was your first time. I've never seen a worse plan. I really haven't. Hey, we've got a dynamic quarterback who can throw and move on the run. Let's do 3- and 5-step drops and try to do long developing plays downfield with an offensive line that can't block today. How do you do that? Like, how do you do that if you're Matt Nagy? You freaking see Nick Foles on the sideline, and we can go ahead and go to that quote now. Nick Foles on the sideline mumbling to Andy Dalton, this offense just isn't working. Like, their own players know that this ain't it. Their own players don't believe in Matt Nagy as a play caller. I'm not saying the guy, doesn't have some leadership abilities, and maybe in a scenario where he's the head coach but doesn't call the plays, couldn't work. But even the team knows his play calling sucks. Like, I've given him passes. I've said Trubisky's bad. Nick Foles can't get it done. The O-line's a disaster. Ryan Pace has had bad roster management. And I think there's truth to a lot of that. But Matt Nagy's the common denominator at this point. He is the commonality. Yeah, it's only one start for Justin Fields, but I've never seen a worse debut in my life. And it's not even his fault. His coach gave him no chance to have success against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We'll go live tomorrow. We'll have the latest Bears news, rumors, much more. We'll take your questions on that live show as well. YouTube.com/Bears Now. We'll probably do a fresh batch of Matt Nagy replacements, probably 10 candidates who could replace Nagy as the next head coach, because if this continues, I don't see a scenario how you can possibly bring him back. I mean, you'll lose the fan base if we see any more performances like that. So subscribe, hit that big red button, and we'll keep you guys up to date on a daily basis, especially with our live shows every Tuesday. By the way, Mike Florio tweeted this out. He talked to Myles Garrett, who had a field day on Justin Fields, and here's what Garrett told him. He told me the Browns defense was surprised by the way Justin Fields was used, or more accurately, the way he wasn't used. They moved him around, and they didn't move him around, I should say, and it made it easier for the defensive lineman to get home, to get him onto the ground, and we saw Garrett do it 4.5 times, a team record. You can't let Matt Nagy call another game. If you're not going to fire him, he's got to give up play calling duties. The thing about Nagy is his ego's too big. It just is. He thinks that what he does will work. His offense would work if you have a great offensive line and a superior, incredibly advanced pocket passer. Fields isn't that yet. He hasn't played a ton in the NFL. He's a little slow off his reads right now. He's a rookie quarterback, so play to his goddamn strengths, and they won't freaking do it, man. This is on Matt Nagy, no one else. Yeah, the offensive line sucked. Give him some help then. Run some 2-3 tight end sets. Chip with J.P. Holtz. You kept J.P. Holtz on the 53-man roster because he can block. Did he play hardly at all yesterday? No, he didn't. You can't let Matt Nagy call another game for this Bears offense. You just can't do it. Shout out to BetUS for today's sponsor. Bet against the Bears against the Lions this week, because if you lose at home to Detroit, maybe they'll fire Matt Nagy. Chatsports.com/Bears. Go to that link. Use the promo code BEARDOWN. Put down $100. They're going to give you a 125% deposit bonus. Guys, you think it's bad? The 0-3 Detroit Lions are coming to Soldier Field, and the Bears are only 3-point favorites. Vegas is saying this is a pick'em game. Detroit's 0-3, guys. How quickly things can change. You beat a pretty decent Cincinnati 2 weeks ago, and then you get run over so bad by Cleveland that now even Vegas thinks that the Lions might come to your house and beat them. If you want to bet on the game, go to chatsports.com/Bears. Use our promo code BEARDOWN to get going with BetUS. When it really comes down to it, Matt Nagy failed Justin Fields. And what have we heard the last several months? We don't want to ruin him. We don't want to rush him into game action. And I saw Colin Cowherd this morning. You see rookie quarterback struggling. This is why Matt Nagy didn't want to play him. He wanted to protect him. Okay, if it's one of two things. One, Fields was just incredibly not ready, and they should have played Nick Foles. I don't believe that to be true. Or two, Matt Nagy's game plan stinks, and he had no adjustments. That's what I believe. I think he saw that his offensive line was getting whipped, and he just let it happen for 4 quarters. I just don't understand how you let your rookie quarterback who runs a 4.45 get sacked 9 times. Were a few of those Justin Fields holding the ball too long? Probably. But 9 times. Guys, the Bears had 47 total yards on 42 plays. 1.1 yards per play. I think I saw a stat. It's the worst output this century, or the second worst. That's a joke. Justin Fields didn't even have a chance to show that he was ready or not. Like, how can you evaluate Justin Fields after that game? It's freaking impossible, and that is a failure of the staff. This year, if nothing else, is about finding out what Justin Fields could be. We don't even know that after his first start. You didn't give him the chance to struggle. You didn't give him the chance to shine. He simply did not have a chance to show you either way what he can bring to the table as an NFL starting quarterback, and that in itself is a disaster for Matt Nagy. Who's your dream head coach for the Chicago Bears? Let's say they fire Nagy. Who do you want? Like I said on our live show tomorrow, we will likely dive into some candidates, but let me know who is your dream coach for the Chicago Bears. In conclusion, it's hard saying this because I've defended the guy. I think he's a good dude and all that stuff, but I think Matt Nagy has to go. I really do. At bare minimum, he has to give up play calling, but that's kind of a half measure unless he comes to that conclusion on his own. Like, say Ryan Pace goes to him and say, hey, we're not going to fire you, but you got to give up play calling. That's like halfway firing the guy. Like, he either needs to go in there and say, guys, it's all on me, I'm giving up play calling, or you have to fire him. And I think firing him is just the easier outcome, to be honest. Pay out the rest of his contract, and let's start this coaching search because you can't let what happened on Sunday ever happen again. That's how rookie quarterbacks get broken. That's how you lose these guys. You traded up for Justin Fields. You don't have a first-round pick next year. This needs to be your quarterback. He has to work. And I have no faith at this point that Matt Nagy can make him work as the play caller, and quite honestly, it probably is the head coach as well. So I think you have no choice but to let him go. Guys, hey, a lot of you were telling me Matt Nagy sucks. Maybe you were right after all. One more time, subscribe. Big live show tomorrow. I'll continue to gather more thoughts as I have over the last 24 hours. Maybe some things will shift, but I'm pretty firm here. I'm pretty firm that I think that it's probably best for everyone if the Bears get rid of Matt Nagy and start going in a different direction. Plus, if you fire him mid-season, maybe you can go on a run and make something happen this year. Like, I don't want to punt on this year, do you? I just don't want it to happen. So hit that subscribe button. We'll see what happens. Matt Nagy was pretty deflated at his press conference this morning, says everything's on the table, even playing Nick Foles. That would be a disaster. YouTube.com/BearsNow. I'm rambling at this point. We'll see you tomorrow here on the channel.